Yo, what's going on? I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I was just checking out a message I got that I need to reply to. In any event, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. My name is Marcus. Here we do attorney reactions to current events and trending news. And hey, someone actually shout out to Pretty Eyes who provided this topic for me to discuss during this live stream today. Hey, I'm a licensed attorney, not your attorney, not legal advice, just my opinion on takes, topics, and current events. So we all know what happened yesterday. Tiffany Henyard took a big L in not only her mayoral election, but yesterday in her election as township supervisor. So she effectively went from making $300,000 a year to zero, which is wow. I don't know how you adjust to that or recover from that had unless you're one of the smartest, most savviest budgeters and financial managers in history. I don't know if that's the case. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. Was she being responsible with her money? Did she have a little nest egg? All the legal fees that she's paying to fight a federal investigation going to come back and kick her into you know what? In any event, we're going to talk about why she is not entitled to unemployment. Now, I thought this was a great question. Shout out to Maddie for dropping the first comment of the day. I appreciate you as always. And I got to get to the sound effects so we can give the first comment of the day. Salute to you. Thank you for dropping that comment. I didn't even have a chance to take my suit off because today was so crazy. Now, we got a couple of stories. The first story we're going to talk about is directly related to this hypothetical. A township supervisor in Illinois loses their election. They apply for unemployment benefits. It doesn't go well. Then I'm gonna pull up my notes so we understand why it didn't go well. And if we have enough time, we'll cover a second story. The second story is related to a terrible legal argument related to unemployment benefits by an Illinois township supervisor as well. The last one may or may not be necessary. We'll see how I get as we go through it. Let's go ahead and pull up the article so we can go ahead and get involved. Let me pull this up. And this is actually relatively recent. It's from 2023, so it's not too ancient. Let's get out of there. Share the screen. All right, here we go. Former Peoria Township Supervisor received more than $15,000 in unemployment benefits after losing re-election battle. He wasn't eligible. Here's the perpetrator. Here's the perpetrator right here. Former Peoria Township Supervisor applied for unemployment benefits after losing his race for re-election 2 years ago. He erroneously received more than $15,000 in benefit. The current supervisor fought for a month to claw back the funds owed to the township. Peoria Township Supervisor Frank Abnor lost the closely contested Democratic primary by just 2 votes. Wow, that's close as hell. In April of 2021. The current supervisor, Latrina Leary, took office the next month. Shortly after taking office, Leary said she learned the township office was set to relocate very soon from its 205 Southwest Adams Street location to 427 West Main Street. The plans were set to be moved to a new location by the end of June, she said. After the move, Leary said most mail was forwarded successfully to the new offices. But she said a letter she received in early 2022 from the Illinois Department of Employment Security regarding an unemployment claim from the previous July made it clear that not everything was making it to the new location. I was not sure who had filed for unemployment because no one had been laid off or fired within the township, she said. So I did a little digging and quickly realized that it was the former supervisor. According to IDES, the Illinois Department of Employee Services, documents obtained through a Freedom of Information request, Abnor filed a claim for unemployment on July 4th, 2021, and received $15,380 in unemployment benefits through December. Here we can see the statement to show what he was paid, the letter ID, payment due by. Leary points out that the previous address for the township listed is on Abner's unemployment claim, and multiple attempts were made to deliver letters from IDES there. Leary contacted the township attorney and sent a protest letter on February 25th, 2022 to IDES. The protest was denied due to being outside of the legal time limit. So then I filed another protest for the fourth quarter, and that was approved. Leary said, so it had been within the time frame, a certain time frame, and receiving those statements, those quarters. On March 14, 2022, IDES sent Abner a letter seeking to recoup more than $15,000 he was paid. Abner protested in an appeal letter to the agency, writing that he acted in good faith and believed he was eligible for benefits. Ignorance is not an excuse for violation of the law. He claimed he even had to start the process over after his account was hacked and initial application information lost, and no one at IDES questioned his eligibility throughout the process. Professor Michael Leroy for the University of Illinois School of Labor and Employment Relations said, it's not surprising the issue could have flown over the radar of the state's unemployment agency. IDES was strained under the weight of a flurry of new unemployment claims filed during the COVID-19 pandemic. During the pandemic, unemployment benefits were bolstered by the federal government, so people were getting 2-3 times what their normal unemployment benefits were. These first-level agents were well-meaning people. He pretty much said they were terrible at their job. These first-level agents were well-meaning people. They were swamped, said Leroy. This would be an unusual case for that person. They wouldn't necessarily be versed on all aspects of the law, and let's keep in mind the agent is responding over the phone to what this person is telling him or her. So they're acting in complete reliance. Illinois took out a $4.5 billion federal loan during the pandemic to plug holes in the state's depleted unemployment trust fund. The remainder of the debt owed back to the government was paid off in January. A representative from IDES said the agency can't comment on specific cases due to a confidentiality section in the Unemployment Insurance Act, but a general outline provided by the agency on how the appeals process worked lined up with Leary's experiences. A telephone hearing was administered by an administrative law judge that was held on July 20, 2022. Leary was present for the proceeding. The finding was in favor of the township, she said. Legally, those benefits should not have been given out. He should have not have received them. They're referring to the former township supervisor, Abner. This is consistent with administrative law judge Martin McGrory's ruling obtained through the Freedom of Information Act, he said about Abner. His salary was paid out of the township general fund. Therefore, he was an employee of a government entity whose services performed as the township supervisor were in the exercise of his duties as an elected official. The claimant is not eligible for unemployment benefits. Professor Leroy said, based on Section 220 of the Illinois Unemployment Insurance Act, the judge made the only right call. This is not even a matter of interpretation, he said. If this individual was an elected official and somehow lost office, it doesn't even say how you lose office, whether it's through a lost election, whether you're removed for cause, whatever the reason is, you can file for unemployment, but you're not entitled to any benefits. But Leroy points out it's not impossible for an elected official to qualify for worker benefits or protections. Sometimes they do. Leroy uses an example of former Arizona Congresswoman Gabby Guilford, who was shot in an assassination attempt shortly after beginning her third term in 2011. Her office on her behalf filed for federal workers' comp, and he said, and it was successful. That's something she got by virtue of being elected to office and serving in that role. Leroy shares this example to illustrate that a former elected official could, in good faith, believe they're eligible for unemployment benefits. Really, it doesn't matter what his state of mind is when he makes the claim, as long as he's not trying to defraud the system, Leroy said. And I don't think it's close to that. That's a good point. A lot of times, unemployment fraud is a criminal matter, but here Leroy is saying that, hey, we don't think the former township supervisor Abnor had the intent. Intent would be necessary if they were pursuing criminal charges. Abnor declined to be interviewed for this story, citing the legal situation is ongoing. But according to Township Supervisor Latrina Leary, the funds were returned. This past fall, we recently received the funds from IDES, she said. In total, Leary said $12,120 were returned to the township. An additional $3,260 in Abnor's benefits were federal funds, part of the pandemic supplement program in effect at the time. Leary said it was important to get her, for her to get the information situated, resolved as a steward of the taxpayer dollars. That is the main message I would like to get across, she said, for them to know that their tax dollars is in good hands. Their tax dollars are being allocated accurately for what it is intended to be utilized for. About 60% of the township's $2.2 million budget for the current fiscal year is appropriated to its general assistance fund, which includes low-income vouchers for needs like rent, utility, transportation. Most of the remainder goes towards conducting tax assessment, pensions, and various other administrative costs. So, hey, typically, if your general rule is you aren't qualified or don't qualify by nature of your elected status, even if you lose, if you're ousted to get unemployment insurance benefits, this is a prime case. This occurred in 2021 going into 2022. This article was published in 2023. We're going to take a quick look at the law, just some notes, and then I'm going to go through one more case that was just the stupidest argument for why an elected official should receive unemployment benefits. It's really ridiculous. We're going to go through that real quick. Shout out to everyone in the comments. She's desperately trying to get the position with the school board, also trying to get appointed. Knows will not be elected when Gray Everett retires. Yeah, I don't know if she'll ever get appointed to anything. If she does, I don't know how she can do that. The only way I think she had the most leverage to get appointed to anything was while she still maintained either her mayoral or the township position. Without her having the ability to participate in the quid pro quo because she doesn't have any power, I don't see how she would even muster the support of anybody to appoint her for anything. It's crazy how much, if what I'm saying is accurate, how much the school board position made as well. I actually talked to someone who's from Chicago, and they were talking about how much the school board made and how terrible the performance of the schools were. It's actually ridiculous. All right, what's going on? I appreciate you for tuning in. Bumblebee, Norm, Harley D, what's going on? Oh man, be safe. Be safe out there and traveling. Be safe traveling, brother. Rita, what's going on? I appreciate you for tuning in. Now let me go ahead and pull up this document real quick so we can just see the quick notes I took on essentially why politicians can't get it. We already talked about the case, a previous township supervisor who got unemployment benefits and had to pay 90 some odd percent of it back because he got them erroneously. Hey, shout out to Pretty Eyes Covington for actually giving me the topic for this. Hey, salute to you. I appreciate it. I know you missed the whole story, but long story short, you can't get them. And we went through a case where a township supervisor lost his election and received $15,000 in unemployment benefits, and he had to pay them back. Now let's take a look real quick at the law. It looks so nuts how much he is being paid, that the perks are just out of space. Yeah, that's crazy to make that much sitting on the school board. I mean, unless your students are like in the top 3 percentile in your district, according to the state, is actually ridiculous. Hey, shout out to you. I appreciate that. Hey, tried to be a little dapper, and I was getting home late, so I had to keep on the work threads. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at just my notes real quick so we can see how this plays out. And if you're interested in seeing the township supervisor who lost his election and got unemployment benefits in 2022, y'all, it's going to be the front end of the story. Y'all can always rewind it back. All right, in general, no politician in Illinois who loses an election is generally not eligible to collect unemployment benefits, as serving as an elected official is not considered covered employment. Not covered employment. The Illinois Department of Employee Security, IDES, and the Illinois Unemployment Insurance Program do not consider serving as an elected official as covered employment. Even if a former elected official files for unemployment, they are not entitled to benefits. And we talked about the former Peoria Township supervisor who had to pay back the $15,000. Now, let's go ahead and close that out. Now, let's take a quick pivot because now we know why Tiffany Henyard went from $300,000 because she was pretty much terrible at her job. Now she can't even get unemployment compensation, which is what, $400? What is it, like $400 a week, $450 a week, something like that? She can't qualify for unemployment insurance benefits because an elected official is not covered employment pursuant to law. Now we saw how in Peoria, that former township supervisor who lost his election, he acted in good faith. He thought he qualified for benefits. He didn't, and he had to pay all of that stuff back. Now, real quick, I want to take a look at this case. This is a case of someone who made the stupidest argument on why they should get unemployment assisted benefits as they maintained a position, an elected position that they were receiving W-2 compensation for. So not necessarily on point, but I thought it was a prime example of how some legal arguments are best kept to be left in your mind and not put on paper and filed in the court. Let's go ahead and dive into that before we get out of here. All right, let's make that a little bigger because your boy blind. All right, that's perfect. All right, this is John F. Murphy versus the Board of Review in the state of Illinois Department of Employment Security, a bunch of other people. All right, plaintiff John Murphy appeals an order from the circuit court on administrative review upholding the determination of the Board of Review of the state of Illinois Department of Employee Security to deny the plaintiff unemployment benefits. So this guy lost in court. They said, bro, you don't get unemployment benefits. What are you doing? He's appealing because he was like, no, I'm entitled to unemployment benefits because of this dumbass argument. On appeal, plaintiff contends he is entitled to unemployment compensation pursuant to the Unemployment Insurance Act because, one, he was not employed as defined by the Act. Two, he did not receive wages as defined by the Act. And three, the board's determination that he was ineligible for unemployment benefits because of his position as an elected official violated his rights to equal protections under the law for the following reasons. Now, let's just get this so we can compare and contrast. When we're talking about the first case, former township supervisor in Peoria, Abner, he lost his election and applied for unemployment benefits. He didn't qualify because elected official compensation doesn't qualify as covered compensation. This guy, on the other hand, is an elected official. He's receiving compensation. He has another job that he's doing. He loses that job, but still has his elected job, still receiving money for. And his argument is that because you all don't consider employment of elected officials to be covered employment, when I lost my side hustle, I'm effectively unemployed, even though I'm getting paid as an elected official. Really, bro? That's a dumbass argument. And the court said as much. All right. Plaintiff was employed by Certified Grocers Midwest until he was discharged in January of 2006. Plaintiff applied for unemployment benefits with the Illinois Department of Employment Security, hereinafter the department. He received weekly unemployment benefits in the amount of $350 from February of 2006 through June of 2024. During that time, plaintiff also held an elected position of township supervisor for the township of Worth. As township supervisor, plaintiff received weekly compensation in the amount of $519.23. Bro, that makes absolutely no sense. Okay, we know the law says that compensation compensation by elected official in Illinois isn't covered compensation. His argument is I received my compensation as an elected official. I had my side hustle. I lost my side hustle. Now the only compensation I'm receiving is as an elected official. Because you all said that this is not covered employment, I'm effectively unemployed. This is the stupidest argument in the world. They should have charged him all sorts of court costs and fees for bringing this frivolous lawsuit. In June of 2006, the department terminated the plaintiff's unemployment benefits and demanded that the plaintiff reimburse the department for the amount of unemployment benefits he received. Plaintiff requested that the department reconsider its determination. Upon reconsideration, the department reaffirmed their position. Plaintiff subsequently requested a hearing before an administrative law judge, which occurred by telephone. A review of the transcript from the telephone conference revealed the following facts. The plaintiff stated that as township supervisor, he performed certain duties as required by statute. Those duties included overseeing the township budget, acting as the chairman of the board of trustee meetings, meeting with accountants and establishing pay and raises for employees, and assisting in administering grants. However, he stated that if he did not perform any duties, he would still receive compensation merely for holding the elected position. The plaintiff further stated that he received a W-2 for his compensation as township supervisor and included the compensation on his tax return for the 2006 tax year. The administrative law judge issued a decision upholding the department's denial of benefits, as he should. The administrative law judge was like, what, bro? This argument is whack as hell. We're going to uphold their decision to deny you benefits. You need to pay them back. Plaintiff appealed the department's determination to the Board of Review. The board found that the plaintiff was ineligible. So the Department of Employee Services said you don't owe the money. An administrative law judge, said you owe the money because you're ineligible. An administrative law judge said, I agree you owe the money because even though you lost your side hustle, you were employed as a township supervisor and you made more than what you were receiving in unemployment compensations. He appealed again. The Board of Review said, dude, what are you doing? This is just asinine. The board found that because the plaintiff's weekly wages from his position as township supervisor exceeded his weekly unemployment benefit amount, he was not considered an unemployed individual. This is dumb. Pursuant to the act, and thus was not eligible to receive unemployment benefits. Plaintiff appealed to circuit court. So he's going through, I'm going to just be honest, this dude must be broke as hell. You got to be broke as hell to keep appealing all of these things and wasting your time and effort and resources. Dude, just pay back the money. You were not unemployed. You were a township supervisor. You made over $2,000 a month in that role. You received $350 a week for unemployment insurance. Pay the damn stuff back. All right. He appealed to the Cook County Circuit Court for administrative review. The Circuit Court agreed again that you did not qualify for unemployment benefits, and he appealed again. On appeal, the Circuit Court's order, administrative review, blah, blah, blah. Let's just go down to the meat and potatoes. All of this stuff right here, I'm going to just explain this because this is good information to know for when we're going through these legal pleadings. All right. Right now, they're talking about a standard of review. When you're appealing any legal decision, when you get to certain courts, certain levels, they have certain standards on how they can review certain things. So it says in Illinois, the Supreme Court has identified 3 types of question that the court can consider on administrative review. They can listen to questions of facts. We're arguing about the facts of the case. Did this happen? Didn't it happen? They can listen to and make decisions on questions of law. What does the law mean and how should we interpret it? Does it mean this or that? Or they can look at mixed questions of fact and law. Everybody disagreed, but here the courts found that this is a mixed question of law and fact. Does the law allow for an elected official who holds a position actively to be deemed an unemployed individual? I think everybody, my daughter knows that, and she's 13, and it doesn't take a rocket science. So this is a mixed question of law and fact. That's what the standard is. It says here, the review board's determination that plaintiff was not eligible for unemployment benefits because he was not an unemployed individual pursuant to the act. This presents a mixed question of law and fact, which we review under a stupid legal standard. We disagree with the plaintiff's contention that the question presented is whether compensation received by an elected official qualifies as employment compensation pursuant to the act. The board did not make that determination. Rather, the board answered the question of whether the plaintiff was an unemployed individual pursuant to the act. Turning to the merits of the plaintiff's argument on appeal, the plaintiff first contends that he's entitled to unemployment compensation because his position as township supervisor cannot be considered employment pursuant to the act. The act provides that the term employment shall not include services performed in the employee of a governmental entity if such services is performed in the exercise of duties of an elected official. Plaintiff maintains because his services as an elected official cannot be considered employment, his compensation received as a result of his service cannot be considered compensation for employment. Plaintiff raised this contention. He lost on every ground. Plaintiff further argues that even if his service as an elected official was considered employment, he was entitled to unemployment compensation because he did not receive wages as defined by the Act. The Act provides in part, wages are every form of remuneration for personal services, including salaries, commissions, bonuses, and reasonable money value of all remuneration in any medium other than cash. All of his arguments are done. Here's the court's point. They're going to agree with everybody else. This argument is dumb as hell. Here, the plaintiff contention misses the mark. This is not a case in which plaintiff held office but failed to perform duty. Rather, plaintiff testified that the position as township supervisor had statutory duties, and he did perform various duties serving in that position during the period he received unemployment compensation. The board found that the Act's definition of wages was broad, and the duties that the plaintiff personally performed as township supervisor came within the Act's definition of wages. We did not find this determination to be clearly erroneous. Further, the board found that pursuant to the Act, the plaintiff was not an unemployed individual because his weekly compensation as supervisor was more than his weekly benefits amount. Let's see. Lastly, plaintiff contends that the board determination that he was ineligible for unemployment benefits because his position as an elected official violated his rights to equal protection under the law. Again, plaintiff contention misses the mark. The board did not deny unemployment benefits because he held an elected position. Rather, the board determined the plaintiff was not an unemployed individual because pursuant to the Act, his weekly compensation from that position was greater than his weekly benefit amount. The same outcome would occur regardless whether the plaintiff's compensation resulted from holding an elected position or some other part-time job. In other words, because the plaintiff's compensation exceeded his benefit amounts, he was denied benefits regardless of the origination of that compensation. So the court essentially found that this guy was full of you know what. This was an actual. We all got the wrong job. This is We all got the wrong job. That's hilarious. But yeah, that was a very stupid argument. What's going on, Etod? I appreciate you tuning in. So that's the reason why elected officials in Illinois can't get unemployment insurance benefits. I'm assuming that's probably across the board in most states. The reason being is that an elected official position, hey, is not considered, the wages they receive are not considered wages by the definition of the statute that's provided. And because it's not considered wages, that guy in this case couldn't get it. Now, when we turn back to the earlier story about the guy in Peoria, you just didn't qualify for benefits because the definition of what qualifies for benefits expressly excludes elected officials. And let's just be honest, if you've been making like, I don't know, as an elected official and you made over $300,000 for what, 3-4 year period, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't be entitled to it because I see where the equal protection argument comes in, because equal protection means we're all treated fairly. As an attorney, let's say I made $400,000 a year. As an attorney, I make $400,000 a year. I'm probably getting, let's say, $100,000 bonus if I meet my billable hours requirement. So think about it. I see where his argument for equal protection kind of was going. I don't think it applied to the guy in the second case, but I think the township supervisor in Peoria who actually lost his election and got unemployment benefits, he actually had a stronger equal protection argument. Because think about it, if I'm the township supervisor, I make $250,000, I lose my job because I'm an elected official and my wages are excluded by statute. I can't get unemployment benefits, but I could be the founding partner of a law firm and make $1.2 million a year. And if I'm ousted at my law firm and they vote me out and I lose my job, I can apply for unemployment compensation and get it. I get where it's kind of weird at and how it doesn't make sense. And I know that to be the case for certain because during the housing collapse of 2008, I'm going to tell this story, then we're going to dive out of here. I'm going to check the comments, we're going to dive out of here. But during the housing collapse of 2008, Congress put a bunch of money into the market. And they put a bunch of money into the market because they didn't want people to lose their houses. It was called TARP funds, the Troubled Asset Relief Program. And rather than manage it, they say, we're going to give all of this money to the states. You all come up with your own programs to determine what the requirements are so people who may be financially stressed won't lose their houses. This program, if you qualify, would pay your mortgage for up to 12 months. And I lie to you not, I had a specific case. Most cases, the people would try to defraud the program or something like that. Or most cases, people actually qualified. They made $5,000 a month. Their mortgage was $3,000 a month. Due to the housing collapse, they're underwater. Most people fit within that category. But I remember specifically having one case. Where was it at? In crazy California, where all their rules are kind of goofy and a little too far left for me. But it was a case in California. A guy lost his job. The program allowed for his benefits to be paid in California for 18 months. It was no cap on his mortgage. His mortgage was like $9,000 a month. They paid his $9,000 mortgage for almost a year and a half. And in California, in order to get those benefits, you had to provide a bank statement. I lie you that this dude had like $200,000 in his checkings account. In his savings account, he had probably like $700,000. But because California was goofy in how they wrote their program up, it didn't exclude him from the program. So there are situations where I can see in a situation where an elected official loses their job, how they would try to assert an equal protection argument. As an elected official, I made $100,000. I lost my job. I paid into unemployment. I should be able to get unemployment. No, you can't get it, elected official. But if I worked at Viacom, and if I worked at Viacom, I don't even know if they're still in business, and I made $100,000, I lose my job, I pay into it, I can get it. Now, I see where that argument would come in play, but the statute is the statute. That's just kind of what it is. Let's see. Hey, H-Town, what's going on, Bridget? I appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, her OnlyFans is going to be lit. Like, I don't know. Like, if she throw out like a coupon code, if she throw out like a coupon code for like 60% off, I don't know. I might see what it's looking like for 1 month. But it got to be a coupon code. I'm not paying full retail value. I can't do it. I don't think so. I saw her. What is the? Oh man, I watch his content sometimes. It's called. Oh man, I can't recall his name. It's a he. It has a finance name, and I saw he had a video, but I don't think she officially started the OnlyFans. She did. Somebody send me the link. Somebody send me the link if she did, and if it's a coupon code, send that too. Because I'm only doing it for research purposes and content purposes. Because I gotta see what it's about, but it gotta be a coupon code. I know. Hopefully, everybody cool in those areas where all the crazy weather at. Can't you get a crazy check? I don't know. Probably. No money for Henyard. Definitely. Now, Kamal can get them unemployment benefits, though. He can get those benefits. Scott Johnson. I I tend to generally agree with that. I think one skill that she has is like she probably will actually do well being an event planner. Somebody put that out, but who the hell would hire her as an event planner? Let's see. Henry would try anything. She owes a debt that the holder wants back because she did not provide what she was supposed to. Is not a good thing to owe money in the Southlands. I agree. It's generally not a good thing to owe money anywhere if you can avoid it. But hey, that's the big takeaway from this video. That's why she won't get the benefits. And the last story, that's why you don't make stupid arguments because you just kind of waste everybody's time. Yo, I appreciate everybody for tuning in for this quick live stream to cover it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Pretty Eyes for giving me this topic idea. I appreciate you. Salute to you. Y'all have a good one. Have a good evening. Y'all be blessed. Peace. Let me see. Yeah, if it didn't have anything to do, if she wasn't collecting the money for the events, but like it was a business who collected the money, but she just went out and did the scheduling and planning, and you probably want to give somebody else a credit card to use to set up everything, she could probably be successful doing that. Yo, I appreciate everybody. Y'all be safe. Thanks, Norm, for that comment. Take care. Peace.